Good evening. Welcome to worship this beautiful evening. Good to have you all with us. If you're not familiar with us, everything that you're going to need is in the booklet that you got on the way in. And one place in particular I want to draw your attention to, if you go to page 4, we kind of break into a round at one point there. So at that point, when we get to the group 1, group 2, group 1 is going to be this side over here, you'll be following me. Group 2 this side over here, and you'll be following Kristen. All right, so you're all prepared to go forward. Let us begin. Jesus Christ, you are the light of the world. Stay with us now, for it is evening. The day is almost over. Let your light scatter the darkness. Let shine within your people here. This light of heavenly glory, coming from God's might sing your praise and your love in our lives. Steve, you're continuing our Love Languages series, and our guest preacher tonight is Steve Ave.
Good evening. Last week, we were going to talk about our Bible study from the Sunday before, and she talked a little bit about quality time. And so this week, on this last Sunday anyway, our Bible study was about receiving gifts. There are people whose the love language is about receiving gifts. And when they receive gifts, their love tanks begin to fill up. It's not necessarily just receiving gifts that fills up their love tanks, but it can also be the thought that the giver thought about them that fills them. Or they actually thought that someone would take the time to just spend that time looking for a gift for them. Sometimes that's something that people appreciate and that can fill their love tanks up. But the author of our book, Gary Chapman, says that a gift is something you can hold in your hand and say, look, he was thinking of me, or she remembered me. The gift itself is a symbol of the thought. It doesn't matter whether it costs money. What is important is that you thought of him or her. And it's not the thought implanted only in the mind that counts, but the thought expressed and actually securing the gift and giving it as the expression of love. There are other kinds of gifts. The gift of self, being there when your spouse needs you, or a friend or a family member. That speaks loudly to the one whose primary love language is receiving gifts. And then your physical presence in the time of crisis is probably the most powerful gift you can give if your spouse's primary love language is receiving gifts. Your body at that point becomes a symbol of their love. And these are just a couple of examples of the gifts that a spouse can give to one whose love language is receiving gifts. I wanted to say a couple of things about our Bible study while I'm up here. It's a Bible study that has the potential to make relationships better. It has information that we can use to share with our spouses. If we speak their love language, they can become filled with, their love tanks can become filled with love. And in that case, they reciprocate that love back to us. And so, by doing these kinds of things, it can take maybe a ho-hum relationship, say if you've been married for a significant number of years, and things have just kind of gotten blasé. They have great ideas in there that might bring a little spark back to the relationship. So, one thing I would like to do is encourage people to come to the Bible study. We're doing it again next Sunday at 9:30. And, I think anybody of any age could probably benefit from it other than the little kids. But whether you're single or whether you're married, I think you could all come out with some benefits. It's not an intimidating Bible study. It's a very laid-back Bible study. You can come in the middle of the Bible study. It doesn't really matter. You can actually start on any steps. So if somebody wants to join us on our third week, we'll just run for a couple more weeks so we're sure that everybody gets an opportunity to go through all the steps and learn about all the love languages. So anyway, I wanted to just invite you all to come to that. Now I got a video for you. I wanted to kind of give you a taste of what what our Bible study isn't like, but I wanted you to get a taste of the guy who actually wrote this and some of the information that he gave us on Sunday. And then you'll just have to come to the Bible study and see what it's like. I think you guys would probably enjoy it. Like I said, it's not intimidating. We won't make you answer questions, and we won't ask you to pray
receiving gifts. By now we've got the words flowing, we're affirming each other verbally, we're giving quality time, right? And now we're going to come to receiving gifts. Some years ago, I did an anthropology field trip on the island of Dominica in the Caribbean, and I met a young man by the name of Fred. Fred only had one hand. He had lost his other hand in a fishing accident. Fishing with dynamite, not a good idea, and against the law in this country. So Fred didn't have a regular job, so I spent a lot of time with Fred. I was there for a month, and he taught me a lot about his culture. But whenever he heard I was leaving to come back home, he said to me, "Mr. Gary, you go home tomorrow?" I said, "Yes, Fred, I unfortunately got to go home tomorrow." He said, "Come to my house. I have a gift for you." And I'm thinking, gift? There's not a store within 30 miles of this village. How could he have a gift? But I went to his house. He came out to greet me with his hand behind me. He said, "Mr. Gary, I have a gift for you." And he pulled out a stick about 18 inches long. It was very smooth. The bark was gone. He said, "This stick has lived on the shores of Dominica for many years, and the waves have beaten it against the rocks. I want you to have it to remember Dominica." That was over 30 years ago. I still have the stick. I met a lot of people on that field trip whose names I've long since forgotten, but I've never forgotten Fred. Fred gave me a gift. You see, a gift is a visible sign of love. You know, in the wedding ceremony, typically the minister will say, "These rings are outward and visible signs of an inward and spiritual bond which unites your two hearts in love that has no end." Now that's not empty talk. That's based on the reality that symbols communicate emotional love. But let me remind you that gifts are more important to some people than to others. And that's why if some men take their rings off, their wedding rings off, to play sports or things, some wives get furious. Now, other wives, it's not a big deal. Now, why would she get furious? Likely because her love language is receiving gifts. You're going to take off her gift? She gave that to you. It's like rejecting her. So if we understand this, we'll understand why some people respond more favorably to gifts than others do. The gift means more emotionally to them. To the individual whose primary love language is gifts, it really doesn't matter how much the gift costs, unless it's totally out of character with how much you can afford to give. You know, if a millionaire always gives his spouse or her spouse, a $1 gift, they'll begin to wonder if they're really expressing love to them. But really, it doesn't matter how much it costs. Haven't we always said it's the thought that counts? But I remind you now, as I did in our first session, it's not the thought left in your head that counts. It's the gift that came out of the thought in your head that counts. But what of the person who says, "But I'm just not a gift giver. I mean, I didn't receive many gifts growing up. I never learned how to give gifts. This is hard for me." Well, let me say first of all, congratulations, because you've just made a great discovery that you and your spouse have different love languages. Now that you know that, get on with the business of learning the language of giving gifts. The good news is, this is one of the easiest love languages to learn. Now, the people who don't give gifts say, "Wait a minute, this is not going to be easy." I can tell you, it is easy. Let me give you some ideas. First of all, make a list of the gifts that you have heard your spouse comment on through the years. Maybe you gave them, maybe a family member gave them, but they said, "Ooh, ah, ooh, I really like this." That tells you the kind of gifts that they would like to receive. I'll give you another clue. Recruit your spouse's sister or brother. They know them. They likely know what they would like, and they would be happy to buy the gift for you, especially since they're spending your money. So recruit the family to help you if it's hard for you to buy gifts. In the meantime, you give whatever is comfortable for you to give. You have some idea. You've given some gifts through the years, so just do what's comfortable for you. Really, whatever you give them, I can assure you, if this is their primary love language, it will communicate love to them. Now, if they complain about your gifts or they're critical about your gifts, then I can tell you, receiving gifts is not their love language. Because if it's their love language, it really is the thought that counts. And they're going to be pleased with anything you give them. Now, let's go back to another idea. You remember I've been talking about notebooks? Well, let's get a little gift notebook where you write down the comments that your spouse makes about gifts. For example, if they say, you hear them say to their sister or their brother, someday I'm going to get one of those. Write it down, man. You got a good idea. They're telling you what they want. So when they make comments about things they would like to have, and they say, I'd really like to have one of those. You might even sit down with them and take a catalog and just kind of thumb through it some night. You can spend a little quality time. You get beside them, a little physical touch maybe too. And you flip the pages and just listen. And if they make comments about something, I'd like to have one of those. Be sure you put it in your notebook. Keep a list of the kind of things they make comments about. Then you have wonderful ideas because they've already told you that's what they would like. To speak this love language, you may have to change your attitude about money. Most of us come into marriage with one of two ideas about money. Some of us are what we call spenders. That is, we feel good about ourselves when we're spending money. It's just nice to be able to spend money. We feel secure, feel good about ourselves when we're spending money. And others of us come into a marriage with a saving and investing orientation. We feel good about ourselves when we're saving money and investing money. And typically those two people marry each other. And so if you are a spender, then you won't have any trouble buying gifts. It'll be easy for you because your attitude is positive about spending. But if you're a saver and an investor, then it may be difficult for you to buy gifts. Because, see, your reasoning, well, I don't buy gifts for myself. Then why should I buy gifts for them? I mean, what's the big deal? Let's save some money, Well, there's one problem with that. You do buy gifts for yourself. In saving and investing, you are purchasing self-worth and positive attitudes about yourself. You're meeting your emotional need by saving, but you're not meeting their emotional need because you're not giving, and that's their primary love language. So you may have to change your attitude about money. Actually, if your spouse's love language is receiving gifts, then when you purchase gifts for them, you're making a wonderful investment. You are investing in the relationship. What could be more important? You can get a big bank account, but if you lose your spouse, So let's invest in the things that are important to us. And remember that all gifts do not cost money. The next time you take a walk through the neighborhood, think gifts. I'm going to look for something I can take home and give to my spouse. It may be a stone, it may be a rose, it may be a little twig, and you can attach meaning to it. You take a smooth stone home and you say, honey, I found this. It reminds me of our marriage. We've got some of the rough places smooth now. We had some rough years. It's getting better. This reminds me of our marriage. Or the rose reminds me of how beautiful you are. Or the little twig. This reminds me, honey, that our marriage is growing. We're better than we were last year, right? We're growing. So it didn't cost anything, but it was a gift because you thought about them, you brought it home, you gave it to them, and you told them the meaning that you attached to it.
All right, men. How many of you guys like to bring gifts home to your wife? All right, Leonard. Well, the last part of the video was especially for you guys.
Men.
I'm not great at bringing home gifts to my wife either, but she's not a receiver of gifts, especially. So I'm doing okay. I'm not going to tell you where I'm not doing okay. That one's coming up real soon in Bible study. But I suppose you kind of wonder, what this all has to do with Lent and that sort of stuff. Lent is a really good time for us to reflect on our lives, ask ourselves, what's going good, what's not going good, what kind of changes we think we'd like to make. Are we satisfied with the way our lives are going? How am I doing in my relationship with my spouse or my friend or their family member? And it's also a good time to reflect on our walk with Jesus and how our relationship with Him is. What can we do to improve our relationship with Him? So our Bible study, the 5 love languages, is a good time to reflect on some of those questions. And in the study, you'll find answers to some of those questions as well. But, all of us want to do better. We all want healthier relationships. We all want to help others feel loved, and we all want to feel loved ourselves. So, I encourage you to come on Sunday. God is our greatest of all givers. In John 3:16, God gave it all. He tells us He is the greatest gift of gift givers. So that if we believe in Him, we can receive the greatest gift of all, which is eternal life with Him. And why did He do it? He did it because He loved us. So come to Bible study this Sunday. Like I said before, it's not intimidating. We won't make you answer any questions or pray in front of anybody. But we really enjoy having you there. We always have treats, and it's fun to have a number of people there so we can get some new ideas from other people too. So thanks.
The light shines in the darkness.
And the darkness is not overcome.
An angel went from God to a town called Nazareth, to a woman whose name was Mary. The angel said to her, "Rejoice, O highly favored, for God is with you. You shall bear a child, and His name shall be Jesus, the chosen one of God Most High." And Mary said, "I am the servant of my God. I live to do your will." My soul proclaims your greatness, O God, and my spirit rejoices in you. You have looked with love on your servant here, and blessed me all my life through. Great and mighty are you, O Holy One, strong is your kindness evermore. How you favored the weak and lowly one, humbling the proud of heart. You have cast the mighty down from their thrones, and have lifted the humble of heart. You have filled the hungry with wondrous things, and left the wealthy no want. Great and mighty are you, O faithful one, strong is your justice, strong your love. As you promised my spirit rejoices in you. You have looked with love on my servant dear, and blessed me all my life through.
We'll now receive our offering. Great and merciful God, source and ground of all goodness and life, give to your people the peace that passes all understanding and the will to live your gospel of mercy and justice through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. God, remember us in your love and teach us to pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Save us from the time of trial, and deliver us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours.